Good day, everyone. I'm Glennie Fitzgerald Sewell, and I'm on my fifth run for the Vermont House Washington-4 seat, representing Montpelier. And of course, once again, I'm running strictly as a progressive, just like I did in the runs that I did before. So I realize that it's been a strenuous time for many of us with the advent of COVID-19. I myself was advised by a family medical professional, based on the strange, hard-hitting symptoms I went through, that it was probable that I came down with the virus in late January 2020. At some point, I hope to be considered worthy of an antibody test, just for my own mental sake. But I have had a negative COVID test in recent time since. Um, you know, though most recover, many still struggle to, and some don't recover. It's been months, weeks, and it could be years for many of them in regards to this COVID-19 struggle. We've lost so much in these recent months, but yet we've gained so much through finding new ways to reach out and communicate during lockdown and isolation. Our mental and spiritual states have been badly affected, exposing the world to our own people and our own people to multiple forms of abuse and inequities that exist here in the United States. Yet will ultimately prevail. And I do believe this is a hard time for the country. One heck of an inflection point for exposing our strong and weak points as a nation. As one people, not individuals being used to set upon each other. Despite our doubts and skepticisms, all of this will come to pass, and in the best possible way. Despite some of the narratives coming in from certain media sources and entertainment that are on the darker end of the scale, we really need to focus on the more positive end of the scale and positive belief about what's going on. Okay. We'll overcome COVID-19 and the social injustice that's been exposed by it. We'll overcome this as a whole. Our nation of various peoples and ethnicities will be made stronger, not through sheer force of uniformity or homogeneity, but through a brilliant and socially rich transcultural kaleidoscope, uniting us in a cause of positive change. That's something we really do have to remember. And we survive as one united, tough, and loving human race, human species. We'll perish as selfish, foolish individuals upon this earth, each one an island unto themselves. Human history has proven over and over again which one of these plays out to the common good of all. Do not doubt this. Just do the research. I was finding it hard to start this message as I didn't want to laden it down with tons of positions and stumps on every subject, from sensible and fair gun registration and ownership, and yes indeed I can certainly shoot those clay pigeons myself, to universal health care, to viable forms of shared economics, to fair housing standards for renters and landlords, and even thoughtful and equitable policing policies, minus the overt and unnecessary militarization of said police, down to troops on the streets against their own citizens, which is unconstitutional, to say the least, and unconscionable, to say the most. Now, you can be certain that I try to keep a healthy point of view on not just these subjects, but other subjects as well. If I find that I'm not always fully informed, I do research. Why would I ever ask my college students, for instance, to do something I wouldn't do? I can't know everything, but I am sure to educate myself. So I'll give to you all of the very things I've decided to write to my students for this upcoming term in my institutions where I'm teaching. Okay, you've been listening to me talk about it, and if I publish it, you'll be seeing me read it. You'll be reading it as well. So let's make no mistake about who I am, not just as a candidate, but who I am and where I stand, and how much I care about all of my constituency. Our state, as well as our country and our world, no matter the side of the fence we sit on, have to be considered here. So I don't write to tell you what I think you want to hear from me. Okay, that's disingenuous at best and dishonest at worst. I strive to treat everyone with respect and leave the prejudices and preconceived notions at the classroom door, so as well as the State House door in this case, whether it's electronic or corporeal one. I'm not interested in political correctness. I am interested in mutual human respect. That may be lacking in large portions of our current national leadership and in the American discourse right now, but we're coming into a time where that's now being corrected with the Black Lives Matter movements that's been occurring during the summertime, as well as clashes, in some ways necessary and unnecessary, between these various movements, from Black Lives Matter to Blue Lives Matter to these kind of things, where bringing people together is something we all need to be able to do. We all want the same thing. We all want the same kind of life structure, the same kind of life security, the roof over our head, the foods in our belly, and our ability to live a life that is in pursuit of happiness. We deserve those things, and we all want those things, no matter what side of the fence we sit on. These are the things we need to remember. This is the kind of discourse we need to have and are finally having at this inflection point, which is what I mean by inflection, looking back on ourselves and seeing the things that we have done over the centuries, seeing who we are and seeing what we need to be based on the things we've told ourselves about ourselves in our own written and non-written documents, Constitution and otherwise. Who we are is what's most important here, and this is the thing that we need to inflect upon, and we need to do it, and we need to do it quickly, on a deep spiritual level, on which includes our politics, our social world, and our economic world, and our political world, which are actually one world all wrapped together. Now, I'm like I said before, I'm not really interested in political correctness, but I am interested in mutual human respect. Will it always be easy or perfect? For me, no, it won't be. Uh, I sometimes want to think otherwise. You know, I mean, do I sometimes want to change my mind and want to think otherwise and want to go negative? Yes. Will I slip a little in my thoughts? Yeah, maybe. But I will certainly try to do otherwise. Because I already know, and I've known from my own profession, and from all the teaching I've done over the years at university, college and university level, it's not productive to slip into negative. It's never going to be productive, and it's not productive now. Okay? So this process is not easy, but I've had to practice, I've had practice in recent times, being the kind of person that brings opposing sides to the table, especially in Montpelier over the last few weeks that I've been back, where that has happened and where I've been called on to help, amongst those who get a hold of me. So it's my intent to try and bring a somewhat different and more progressive voice to the Washington-4 Vermont House seat, not to profess myself somehow of being better than those currently serving, of whom I have a great deal of respect. It is time to be the change that we give lip service to in Vermont, though, that all of us seem to give a lip service as a human group here in Vermont. So it's time that we do all we can to continually infuse new thoughts and a new blood into our local governing systems. Something that would speak to the common democratic progressive good of all of our constituency, not just the people of Montpelier or even Vermont. Our state needs to stand out in an example of what to do at a time of crisis. Thus far, we have done that. We need to keep the momentum going. That will be my job, whether I win the seat in 2020 or a few more runs down the road. I'm here to put in my own two progressive cents, and even if it's just down the road. In a closing thought, let's remember that our rights and liberties are of no use to us when we don't act as one people to recover and rebuild the health, social, and economic structures, all ripped down by our current national political environment and nearly finished off by COVID. On that note, let's remember to wear the mask. And yes, I actually do have a mask that I keep on me, one right here. If you ever see me and I'm not wearing it, or I should be, you have every right to ask me to do so. Hopefully I'll actually be doing it anyway. But you know what? Like anybody on the street, we need to remember what we need to do to get back some semblance of the world we had before. Now, without our health and sanity, our freedoms are mere ashes in the wind. So let's do what we can to go back to enjoying those liberties that we claim to hold so dear, and bring back our health, bring back our social life, and repair our political life. All right, everyone. With great kindness, Glennie Sewell, be well.